Hello, this is Jimmy Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast, where we go over all the posts on the Libertarian Uncensored subreddit. Let's get right into it. First, we have the risk is too great for Biden to go. If anything happens to him, it's not just him, but the world that is in danger, from Tim Pool, and that was his tweet on Biden's trip to Israel. And I said, wouldn't be surprised if they did to Biden what they did to the last Catholic president of the U.S. and take him out in the last quarter of his third year. Scary times we live in. I don't personally care for Biden, but if they, if his handlers think it's time to take him out so they can push forward, I think they'll probably do it. That's my thoughts there. Then we have whether it was the Israeli Air Force or Hamas that bombed the hospital, your tax dollars help pay for it, not a penny more, from Spike Cohen on Twitter, and I posted that. And I said, I agreed, but sadly I'd be less surprised if it started raining giant slabs of meat than if that actually happened. Then we have white supremacist killer testifies he was radicalized by conspiratorial content like InfoWars. We are losing this battle, guys. I consumed libertarian content, mainstream conservative content from Muad Dib, and that's from Vice.com. And I said, people get radicalized by all sorts of content that is an excuse for censorship. I don't care for how many radical leftists are created by Reddit, but I've never argued for its censorship. And yeah, that's what I think, yeah. Then we have, I hope Hakeem Jeffries wins, from Tim Pool on Twitter, and I posted that and I said, he and Jordan are pretty much interchangeable. Both will fund Israel out the wazoo, and both will claim the election is rigged if their party loses. Then we have New York court employee arrested after yelling out for Trump during fraud trial, from theindependent.com. And that's by Donald Key. And yeah, I personally don't think I think I personally think if they want to be, or if they, I don't know if I would justify arresting them for that, but I definitely do think that it should be up to the employer whether they're fired or not. But I don't know if I'd arrest them for that. I guess if they were disturbing the peace, I guess you could have an argument, but I don't know if how disturbing the peace they would be. I would say, but it depends. Yeah. Then we have I didn't even think about that. MYT used a picture from a completely different location while falsely blaming the strike on Israel because the hospital location doesn't have any destroyed buildings. From A.G. Hamilton on Twitter, I posted that, and I said, another behead babies incident, I guess. Don't let them lie us into war again. Then we have New York's online hate speech law raises serious First Amendment concerns from Reason, and I posted that and I said, hate speech is free speech, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Same thing with misinformation and disinformation, all under free speech. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. We need to support free speech, and that's something that increasingly I don't think is going to last much longer. Then we have, NY bill would require a criminal history background check for purchase of a 3D printer, from nysenate.gov, and that's from the Crossroads from Technology subreddit by Frosty Slawman. I definitely don't think you should. I personally think I personally think you should be able to get a 3D printer regardless. If you want to print guns, even if you don't have a license for guns, I think that would be completely okay. I think I don't think the state should have anything on what you can and can't have, as long as you're not violating the NAP, I would say. Then we have so many right wingers lose the plot when they're trying to call it hypocrisy on the left. No, we don't want them to be treated like January 6th. It was insane then, it's insane now. People stormed the Capitol demanding a ceasefire. I'm supposed to be opposed. This is why exactly, from Dave Smith on Twitter. And I said, agreed. We need to allow for all nonviolent self-expression. Some people at January 6th were less violent than others, and I think that's okay. That's why, as long as you're being nonviolent, you should be able to express yourself. Yeah. Then we have Faults on Political Families. That's a self-post that I made. I said, I personally don't care for them, even if I think the politicians are good/decent, like Ron and Rand Paul. They strike me as being overly dynastic. With that being said, political dynasties do tend to come and go. In the 19th century, the Harrison family produced 2 U.S. presidents. Apparently, Lincoln was a member of the family as well, per Wikipedia, TIL. In the 21st century, so far at least, the Harrison family is best known for hosting Pawn Stars. So I personally think, I personally don't care for dynastic thinking, but I guess if people want support, I think they should be able to. But I personally think we should try and get some new voices and new families in there. That's my thought about what we should use the government for. If people don't want to make their own governments, they should be able to as well. I don't think people should be forced into a government they don't consent to, like a lot of people in the United States are right now, I would say. Then we have Netanyahu and Biden invoke post 9/11 framework to advocate new war from Glenn Greenwald on YouTube. And I posted that and I said, I don't care for the guy, but at the very least, Trump tried to present himself as anti-war. The same cannot be said of Biden and Netanyahu. Then we have disinformation reporter Ben Collins failed to correct the Gaza hospital story from Reason, and I posted that, and I said, really goes to show why disinformation experts probably shouldn't be a thing. I think if people want to identify as disinformation experts, they should be able to. I just think it's very Orwellian. Especially when the government media industrial complex wants to censor any dissent that they deem to be disinformation or misinformation or hate speech. Then we have Downside from Stone Toss, and that's a webcomic of a guy saying, "Oh, both sides are bad, so I'm not taking a side." But then Uncle Sam takes into his pocket and gives a bill to an IDF soldier, and that's why I said, really goes to show the moral arguments against taxation, especially when you don't know where your tax dollars are going to. You don't know what your taxes are funding. Remember, people like Osama bin Laden used to receive taxpayer-funded resources back during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. Then we have Trump attorney Sidney Powell pleads guilty in Georgia election subversion case from CNN Politics, and that's from Donald Key. And I said, worst she'll probably get is probably house arrest. Then we have the U.S. Supreme Court is now a fascist institution from Common Dreams, and that's a post from Comrade Proton. And I said, fascism is when you disagree with the right and left at all. When the red left is authoritarian, it's always entirely justified by them. Then we have Republicans change tune on free speech over pro-Palestinian rallies at colleges from MSNBC.com. and that's never run by Donald Key. And I said, a lot of people love free speech, but then the out group does it, and it's the worst thing ever. Then we have Just Pack the Damn Courts from Jacobin.com by Comrade Proton. And they said, we need to fight against fascism while we still can. We must immediately nominate and confirm loyal pro-worker judges while we still control the presidency and senators, restore the independence of the judiciary. Of course, they're kind of a troll, but or they might be kind of a troll, but I definitely think you shouldn't pack the court, because I think the other side, people would just use that when they get in power to take power for themselves. Then we have Federal Reserve Bank says states with legal marijuana see broadly distributed economic boost, but also bump in social costs from marijuana.moment.net from geeky username. And that's I guess that's that's good. I would say it's good for the economic boost, but social costs, they aren't too good either. But that's life. Sometimes you have to deal with social repercussions of things, and sometimes people are just going to want to do things, like drugs. And I personally don't think people should be doing drugs all day, but they want to. I think they should be able to. That's the libertarian perspective. Whatever people do want to do with their body, that's their choice, not mine. I would say, even if it's something that I personally wouldn't recommend, like cutting yourself, I would say. Then we have our Libertarian has been infiltrated by libertarian socialists from PME Your Lawn Chair, and they said I had a great deal of fun sub about arguing policy and ethics. Last, like most varieties, has become a commie breeding ground. I hope to see the sub grow and look forward to participating with y'all. Let's get back from Martial Libertarian. And I said, trust me, it's much worse here. Then we have small business owners say they were pressured to hire off-duty MPD cops for security from MinnesotaReformer.com by Clorox. And yeah, that's not good, I would say, but that's the thing. The state's going to bully you to get what it wants, and that's a good example of that. Then we have Iowa man files lawsuit after being arrested twice for criticizing police at a public meeting from Reason.com. Everyone by Clorox, and I definitely agree that that's not a good thing. Then we have Detroit wants to be the first big American city to tax land value from, it's an archive link from The Economist, and that's from everyone by Clorox. And I definitely think that sounds kind of interesting. I think that's kind of like a Georgia's perspective, but yeah, hopefully they don't go too overboard with it and tax them too much, because I think the tax rate is supposed to be a very high 11.8% rate according to the comments down here. Then we have he's going to prison for Twitter trolling. That's not justice from Reason.com, and that's about how Douglas Mackey is getting arrested for his post about trying to convince people to text to vote for Hillary. And I said it was kind of a scummy thing to do, especially if his intent wasn't such. But at some point, people should be expected to know better. People lie on here all the time, and if we prosecute all of them, the entire planet would be in prison. If someone on the internet says something, you need to use your own discretion about whether it is true or not. But people want the state to do everything for them instead. So that's good. That's not good. We need to. I personally think elections are kind of unfair. People might use their free speech to for unethical means, but that doesn't mean it's still not free speech, I would say. And finally, we have it's really true that nothing breeds sweet bipartisanship like new wars from Glenn Greenwald on Twitter, and I posted that, and that's a tweet from Ben Spiro, VC tweets Fetterman FTW, and then he quote tweets Senator John Fetterman, who tweets, it's really disturbing that members of Congress refuse to blame Israel for the hospital tragedy in Gaza. Who would take the word of a group that just massacred innocent Israeli civilians over our key ally? And my response to this was, they're pretty much the same party anyway. So I think we're gonna wrap it up there, and let me check if there's anything new first, and then we can wrap it up. Let's see, yeah, we're gonna. Oh wait, no, we had just got a new one. Americans don't much like federal agencies from Reason.com by 2,000 times the charm. 2,000 times the charm. And yeah, I definitely would agree that federal agencies are not libertarian, and we need to get rid of many of them as possible. Because they're just trying to bully people to get what they want, and are spying on people and probably torturing people as well. Like the FBI just shot and killed a guy for posting what it interpreted as threats to President Biden. So that's just not good, I would say. And I think we're gonna wrap it up there, and I'll see you guys next episode. Bye.